Hey friends, and welcome back to day 8 in my December daily 2025. This page was partially set up in my foundation pages. I had that frame page along with the those Christmas trees and the little tag that says the perfect day to stay in and watch Christmas movies. So I'm working on the back of day 7. I still wanted to use this frame, and so I'm adding my picture on the back of that. Um, and then I'm just going to adhere that on there. And then I needed to figure out what I needed to do around the outside because this frame is a little bit smaller than the page that I used for the previous day. And you can see there I also have my embossing that I did for day 7. I used the Fa La La stamp with gold embossing. So I'm just going to grab that Fa La La washi tape and I'm going to put that along the side. And then I do add a little bit more adhesive on there just because I want to make sure it sticks on there and stays. I add some washi from, I think it was last year on the other side, but I'm going to end up taking that off eventually. Just trying not to have too many competing patterns on here. So I considered some of that gold ribbon that I have, or it's more like copper really, but I opted against that. And here's where I'm kind of going back and forth, trying to figure out how I wanted to add in my journaling. You know, did I want to tuck it in on the side? Did I want to tuck it in on the top? Kind of, running a few different ideas in my head, grabbed a few different journaling cards. You'll see here in a second, I actually ended up setting this page aside and coming back like a day or two later because I was just kind of stuck. And, sometimes when you're stuck, you just got to kind of set it down and walk away, whether it's, you come back later in the day or you just, come back in a couple days. So that's actually what I ended up doing. That way I can come back with fresh eyes and new ideas. Okay, so I was working on this page and I was kind of getting stuck here, not sure what I wanted to do. I had another piece of washi on the other side and I was trying to figure out how I can get some journaling on here, if I was going to tuck something on the side. And nothing was coming to me. So I had to step away. I actually stepped away for a day or two. And in the meantime, of course, I'm scrolling through Instagram and whatever and seeing everyone else's December dailies and things. And it kind of gave me a little bit of inspiration. I was thinking somehow maybe I'll do some kind of flip up. This is too big, I feel, to flip up. And I still really want to use this big frame. I feel like these are a little too small because I'm working on the back side, of day 7. So what I ultimately was thinking is I'm going to do a flip up or a flip over. And I'm thinking I'm going to do it on the side of this frame. So I kind of pulled this up open a little bit because I had already kind of adhered it down. And so my thinking is I'm going to put this little flap here so that I can add my photo here. So then this photo will flip over and I can add some journaling or whatever on the side. And then this photo will end up being on top. What that is. Or maybe I'll switch and put this photo on top. I'm not sure. But anyway, and that way that gives me room for journaling. I might just do... Another thing I was thinking is just using either pattern paper on this side as well, or I might just continue this same washi on the other side so I don't have a bunch of competing patterns on there. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then I can't remember if when I was recording before, if I had pulled out these numbers or not. because I originally had this down here, but this was kind of getting in the way of that, so that's why I took it off. I'll probably end up putting it right back on here, but I'm thinking I kind of like that number 8 there. But we'll see. You know what would look cute is to use that as like a, a tab right there or something like that. I could do that as well and just put something on the back. So that's kind of where I'm at. I need to decide which photo is going to go in front. And then I need to print up my journaling. And then, yeah, I'm happy I figured out a solution for adding some more journaling. So I'm going to get started on that. Okay, so once I figured out what to do with my journaling, I found a journaling card out of my stash and I printed my journaling on a piece of plain cardstock first. And then once I made sure I had the spacing and the size right, I ran that journaling card through my printer as well. And then I have to trim it down. I believe the size was 5 3/4 by 3.5. A little bit smaller than 4 by 6 because I want it to sit on the outside of that frame. So I'm just going to use the little hinge that I created with a piece of paper. I just grabbed some printer paper. It's a little bit heavier weight printer paper, but it's still pretty thin. I didn't want to use cardstock because I wanted to make sure that my photo laid flat when it was in there. So added a little bit of washi on the inside of that hinge because what I found when I was adding the photo on there was that I could see a little bit of the white and I didn't want to see the white. It's just me being nitpicky, but I didn't want to see the white. So added a little bit of washi on there. And then I'm going to use some score tape to hold the photo onto my hinge right there. So I'm going to add my photo on there and then I am going to second guess myself and make sure I'm putting it on the right side because it just seemed wrong to me, but it's good to double check what you're doing anyway. So once I have that on there, I'm going to kind of put it in there, make sure it fits right. I do need to trim a little bit because the hinge needed to be a tiny bit smaller because it's sitting on the inside of that frame and the photo's sitting on the outside. So once I got it the way I like it, I'm going to add my journaling on the back and I'm just going to use rolling adhesive on the back of that. And as I'm watching this back, I didn't do anything to the journaling card, but I'm thinking, maybe a little star sticker at the top and maybe a rolling date stamp on the bottom. Certainly not necessary, but I may end up going back and adding that. I trimmed off a little bit of that photo because it was kind of sitting more on the right than the left. So just trimmed off a tiny bit on there. And then once I did that and make sure everything was the way I wanted it, I'm going to use some more score tape to add that to the back of my frame. Using score tape because I want to make sure that it's going to stay on there. Whenever I have any interactive pages, I want to make sure I use score tape or red line tape, something just a little bit stronger than rolling adhesive. Just to make sure it stays on there. So, and then I've got that little label on there that says the perfect day to stay in and watch Christmas movies, which is exactly what is happening in that photo. I think that was from last year or the year before. Most of the things that I'm using in this year's album, if it wasn't from this year, it was from the last 2 years for the most part. Adding a little bit more washi on the other side, the same kind, just like I said before, so that I'm not having, a bunch of different competing patterns. I feel like that that Fa La La washi and the stamp is pretty busy, so I wanted to make sure that, I don't want it too crazy on there. So gonna punch my holes, and of course, because I'm just punching through washi, it's going to get stuck in my hole punch, but it's all good. And then once I do that, I can line up my frame. And again, I'm going to use some score tape to add that to the back of my page 7. so now I'm trying to figure out where I want to add the number 8 onto my page. And I also want to add a tab sticker on that photo, so whoever's looking at my album knows that you flip that photo open. So I'm going through my tabs, all my tab stickers, and I end up settling on a green tab sticker that says Comfort, which is perfect for this page. That's an old one. That one's from quite a while ago, if you recognize it. So, and I like that it was green. I loved pulling in some green on there. So I'm just going to put that on there, and then I will end up stapling it on there. I went through some of the numbers that I had originally pulled out. Ultimately, in the end, I end up just going with a tiny 8 gold puffy sticker, and I think that worked just perfectly. So I am going to call this good. I'm happy with how this came out. I'm going to staple that on there. Yep. And I'm going to put this in my album. Day 9 is a page that I created from Product Play, so I probably won't give a process video on that other than just adding my photos in there. But since I'm using day 9, I know on the back side I'm going to have to probably have a full page photo on the back, so I have to think about that. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.